Everyone has a story to tell. Welcome to DingoTalk, where we explore the experiences that make us who we are. Here's your host, Carlo Guadagnino.
What's going on, Chuckleheads? I am Carlo Guadagnino. This is the DingoTalk Alumni Tour. My guest this week is Serenity Brown, class of 2020. Serenity, thank you for joining us here in Morgantown.
Thank you. I live here.
Pretty easy for you to get here.
Yeah.
As you can see, this is our ugly sweater, and for the second year in a row, my guest stands me up by dressing nicer than I do. So what can you do, right? Serenity, you're from New York.
Yes.
You went to school in the opposite side of West Virginia from where New York, the part of New York that you live in. How, why, where, how does a girl from New York find her way to Brooke County, West Virginia?
So in high school, I had a best friend and her family was originally from West Virginia. So she came to college down here. She went to Potomac State, I think it is. And I would come down and visit her, and I thought it was beautiful down here. So, when it was time for me to start looking for colleges, I decided this is where I want to come.
Well, but actually, you wanted to go to West Liberty, wasn't it?
I visited both Bethany and West Liberty. My big thing when I went to any school I visited was the first thing I wanted to look at was the library.
Mm-hmm.
West Liberty I visited first before I visited Bethany, and I walked into the library and it was like a wow, I love this library. I have like little egg chairs like that are soundproof that you sit in, you can listen to music and stuff, and I thought that was so cool. The very next day I visited Bethany though, and it was no contender. I saw like a couple schools after Bethany, and I walked onto the campus and went, well, you can bring me home now. I'm not gonna go here. I'm gonna go to Bethany.
So you brought up that the first thing you were looking for was the library, which it hints that you have a love for books. Yes. So if there were 3 books that you could recommend to my audience, what would they be and why?
You can't throw that on me.
Oh yeah, that's how this goes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, can I pull a cop out and just say like anything by Stephen King because he's my favorite author?
Sure. There are 3 books in particular that you could.
Lovely Bones.
Okay.
It, because we know my love for it, and
the 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I'm not gonna hold you on that.
Yeah.
And since this is the Christmas episode, I'm gonna throw another random question at you. Could you name me as a retail person for this time of year? Is there a particular Christmas song that just really tickles your fancy, or are you at this point Christmas music'd out? But I still want to know what your favorite would be. Even.
Okay, so it's not an actual Christmas song. I actually don't even think you know this about me. There is one Christmas song that it makes me laugh because it's just like one of the people I watch on YouTube made it as a parody. It is called Pussy Poppin' for Santa Claus. So that's my favorite Christmas song.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done there. You know, DB and Miranda are going to watch this, and I'm not the one in trouble now. All right. So you decide to come to Bethany. Now you graduate with a history degree. Was that what you came to school for originally?
No. I actually went to school for psychology. I wanted to originally help people with like mental deficiencies, I guess. Growing up, I have a lot of family history, stuff like that. So I wanted to go into psychology, and then I took almost all of the coursework and went, so like this is actually mostly statistics and I hate it.
So quick jump out of that.
Yeah.
And then was the next jump to history?
Yes.
And why? What was the end game with history?
So I'm not gonna lie, when I first switched to history, there was no big like, oh, this is what I want to do because of blah blah blah. It was the history classes I was taking were my favorite classes. I just enjoyed them. And so I looked more into it. I originally wanted to go work in like a museum of some sort. I actually have my art minor as well. Again, that didn't pan out. So,
but you know, it works. You have a job. It's just not historical or artistic in any way, shape. I mean, it could be art. You rearrange the store. It's merchandising. It's merchandising art.
Yeah.
So you're going through. You're pretty far away from home, and Bethany's not cheap. How did you get how financially, what was going on? Did you got aid, obviously, you got some scholarships, but you worked a lot.
Yes, I worked my way through college, which did affect me some. Thankfully, my professor,
Dr.
Crowley, he really understood, and he knew what I was going through, so it was easy for me to go to him like, hey, like, I've been working a lot this week, no problem, we'll get you an extension, hand it to me on this day. I know you usually don't work this day, so we'll give you that day to bust it out for me. So he really helped me get through that, because I did work a lot, because lots of loans and lots of paying out of pocket and stuff like that. So
now, as social life wise, you're the last class that had Bubba's.
yes.
You're also part of Alpha Zeta Delta. Why go Greek? Was that always on your radar?
Absolutely not. So actually, I didn't join Alpha Z until my sophomore year. So when I first came to Bethany, my first year, I had some friends go through, and they asked me to go through it, and I was like, absolutely not. That's not the type of person like I am. I'm for sure not doing that. It's ridiculous. Got to my sophomore year, I had a lot of friends in Alpha Z. And so this is against the rules, but she's graduated now. I had a friend who said, I'll pay for your fee to go through recruitment. And I said, you know what? You pay for it, I'll go through it for you. Doesn't mean I'm choosing a house or anything. She was like, no, just go through the recruitment week and see what happens. Went through recruitment week. I did end up going Alpha Z. Doesn't mean I didn't keep my mind open about the other houses, but some of them made me a little nervous. But I did end up, and I don't regret it at all. I still talk to some of the sisters every single day, and it's not a regret I have.
Now, other social, I mean, because you were there, the bar's open, and then the bar's gone. What was social life like from, we'll say 17, and then that'll lead into that ugly year at the end, but
lots of parties on the hill. Most of the time though, I will say there was a year or so where I did go to almost every single party. I made my own parties. Monday nights on the stoop with Tasha. That was, I didn't have class till noon on Tuesdays. So I'm gonna party here.
it's good setup.
I mean, yeah, it's nice outside. But by the end of my time at Bethany, it was kind of more, I'm gonna keep to myself. I'll go out every once in a while, say hi to people and everything like that. But it was really, once it came to like the last 2 years, it was more of me wanting to be in the house, hanging out with my sisters, movie nights, going and doing shopping, anything like that. I just didn't really feel like partying anymore.
You partied yourself out.
I partied myself out.
So that leads to your senior year, similar to a lot of guests that I've had, both on the alumni tour and just on the regular Dingo Talk episodes. You go into your senior year, you don't comp in January.
No.
You're scheduled to comp in May, and COVID-19 hits. And both from a retail standpoint, because that's what you work in, and a school standpoint, what was the mental health side of COVID? How'd you deal with it? And how did you inevitably get past comps and out the way?
So obviously it was a big shock because I was very used to being at work almost every single day. I actually got the superlative as a senior from Alpha Z that most likely to never be at a single event because she's working.
I feel like they created that one.
Yeah. So then being at home constantly, obviously like stores shut down. My job is not an essential place, kitchen aids and stuff, and it just wasn't. While it was nice to take a break and kind of have a minute to relax, after a while it kind of got tiresome, and it did affect my mental health. I wasn't good for a long time. So when they finally opened stuff back up, my boss, I was the second person that she called, and it was me. Yep, I'll come back to work. I'm back. I'll be there tomorrow. And she was like, no, Monday. And I was like, all right, I'll be there. What time? So just immediately back to it.
Now, comps were different beasts.
Yes.
Because you were at home. So walk us through that.
Well, pardon my language, but I almost shit myself.
There are a couple guys out there that are probably shocked to know that women poop. So
yeah.
You see that plain language there.
Obviously, when you're at Bethany, you have other people in your major to study with and kind of get you through the week. Obviously, I did not have that. So I was in a relationship at the time. They helped me study and everything like that, but
that wasn't
only gonna do so much when they're not in that major. So I studied. I had like the big poster boards all over the walls. And I was like, oh, I got this down. I'm gonna be good. Took my writtens, did really good on them. I was like, oh, that was nothing. That was bad at all. Like, oh, why was I so nervous? Next day was orals. I'm setting up for the video call because it's video call instead of in person, and everything just gone. And I'm sitting there and I'm like visibly shaking. And they're like, calm down, it's gonna be okay. Thankfully, like my professors and everybody.
Yeah, who was your panel?
It was Corelli, Lancelotti, and Hillgardner. Why Hillgardner was on it?
Because you took religion and they had to throw a curveball. I had the librarian.
Yeah,
really.
I don't know.
Went to school for
the third person.
Went to school for 6 years. I crossed paths with a lot of professors, and the best they could find was, "Yep, the librarian's free." She's never met him, and that was her in Armenia.
Like, I don't know you.
She's like, I don't really know you. Never seen you. What would you say you use the library for? Yeah, I had a really nice DVD collection. Because we know I'm not a reader. That wasn't a thing. I am now. I'm trying to be.
Yeah.
I'm a listener, not a reader. So you get through comps. You then go back to work. But what was the end game now that you're out? What were you looking, now that you have the degree, what were you looking? Was that still where you were going, looking for the museum, looking for?
Originally, yes. But obviously I graduated still mid pandemic. So it was like, oh, I'm gonna wait until after everything dies down and then I'll start looking.
No interest in teaching.
No,
No interest.
I don't have the patience, I don't think.
Which is crazy. Again,
wrong thing.
retail person.
I'm good at faking it.
I feel like you'd be a great
Yeah.
history teacher. Here's a worksheet. Don't talk to me.
Don't speak. No, I just think
They're looking for teachers. Just say.
I just think I'd get fired on like my first week. A kid would say something to me, smart mouth, and I just
You can't do that.
I know.
You can't do
I'd go to jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not could. I think you would. I think you definitely go to jail. All right. Well, so with your history degree, this next random curveball question, I kind of think right up your alley. So you get to have a beverage with 3 historical figures. Who are they and why?
You know, I don't like when you put me on the spot because I even asked you what the questions were going to be before this and you refused to tell me. So I think that's rude.
First off, you edit the show, so you know exactly how these go. And these curveball questions, you watched me collect them. In fact, you have the list of every curveball question. So we will go back to my question. 3 historic figures. They don't even have to be real historic figures. For all I know, you could put Yoda in there.
It's a great one.
It's a phenomenal one. Dun, 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 dun. Nothing.
Nothing.
No, there's not 3 historical people that you would like to meet. Or would have liked to meet. All right.
I know. Listen, you're a part of history. It's good, great to learn about you. I don't want to talk to you.
Don't want to talk to you. All right. 3 musicians that you could. How about that? Does that work?
3 musicians
That you could sit down and just pick their brain. They can be dead too. They don't have to be alive.
Be dead. One of them's Ashniko.
Okay.
She just has a I don't give a fuck attitude, and I like that. I'm bad at this.
Well, you know. I wouldn't say bad at it. I think we're progressing along quite nicely. You're hitting strides. It's an ebb and a flow. Right now you're in an ebb.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us more about your job. So you work at Bed Bath & Beyond now. Right after as you're graduating, you're working out at the Highlands.
Yep. I worked through there. I started I think my junior year there.
Okay.
And as soon as I graduated, my boss was like, listen, a full-time position just opened up in receiving. Would you like it? Well, yeah, of course. Like if not, I was gonna need to find something.
Yeah, you're gonna have to find a second job.
So it's like, yeah, of course. So I become full-time. I'd say probably about 6 months later, she comes to me again and she says, you're my next available person to become management. If I have someone leave, I want you to be a manager. Is it something you'd be interested in?
Yep.
Absolutely, of course. Progressing is always good. So she says, okay, I don't know when that's going to be though. If an opportunity comes up somewhere else, are you interested in that? Within reason, of course, it's something I definitely have to think about. But I would love to be told about it and given the opportunity. I think she knew something was on its way because 2 weeks later, hey, positions opened up in Morgantown for a management position. I wanted to bring it to you. Do you want me to recommend you? I was like, well, Morgantown's not that far away.
Because at the time we're living in Bethany.
Because at the time we're living in Bethany. So it
What a
was like,
town. Hustle and bustle.
so I was like, yeah, no problem. Get me an interview, blah, blah, blah. So obviously I've never had management position. So she really went out of her way to speak to the district manager and everything and be like, listen, like she's really good at what she does. She knows a little bit of every single department. And I did end up getting it. There was a while that I was driving an hour and a half to come to work out here. And the problem with that was the week before I was supposed to start in Morgantown, my car engine blew up.
Yes, it did. Cumberland, Maryland.
Yes, it did.
And there it stayed for like 6 months.
So all this money I had saved up no longer was a thing anymore. So
We had to make a real decision about that
yep,
travel, and gas prices starting to go.
yep, gas prices rising at the time. And it was finally like, all right.
Well, it was time to get out, Bethany. Thanks, by the way.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
that. Appreciate that. Like,
It's like, I don't know, you're either coming with me or you're staying here.
Chuck tried. Chuck tried his hardest to hold me there. He made some things happen with that truck that we weren't sure we were gonna be able to make it, but we did. We ended up here. Now, walk us through. You've now subsequently been promoted to store manager. You're in charge of the whole kit caboodle, which really sucked yesterday, but hey, it's with power comes,
Sucky responsibility.
yeah. So walk us through a day for you, especially right now, because this is kind of like
Peak season. Thankfully, it's coming to an end.
also, before we answer that question, a lovely hat you have on there on this Christmas episode. So if anybody's looking, you can contact this lady right here and she will get you in touch with the guy that can get you a hat. So go ahead. So take us through a day in the
Mondays are probably my busiest days. It's the day I'm in the office most often. So every Monday I have to make the next schedule that comes out. I've got to close payroll, and then doing like negative on hand reports, store walk reports. If we have an aisle change, I have to make the aisle plan for that, stuff like that. So I'd say probably about half of the Monday consists of me being in the office and going over and doing all of that. But most of the time it's me out on the floor. It's changing rooms. It's making sure everything looks full. It's making sure the back is running properly and everybody's getting the stuff out to the floor, helping customers. So there's some managers who could sit in the office all day and let everybody else run around and do all the stuff. I'm not that type of manager. I'm very hands-on. I'm gonna be there and do the work with you. It's gonna make it go faster. And
you just don't, you never stop. So
I don't. I'm just constantly going. If I'm sitting down for long periods of time, I just don't.
Well, and in your you find spare time. You have now taken over the role as the editor of this show. Why? And let's start there. Why?
You were very passionate about this show, and anything that you're passionate about, I want to be a part of. And this was my way of showing you, like, hey, I care about this, because I see how passionate you are about it. Plus I think it's kind of fun. I'm really, really not looking forward to having to edit this episode, because having to listen to my voice is going to suck.
And through your editing, you've improved. We've changed some things. We found out that you can't, the software that we use, if you have it on one computer and it's a different platform than the other computer, you have to buy it again. They do not, so that was a curveball.
Yeah, didn't like that one.
We've gone through some merchandise and trying this, trying that. trying new things in the editing process. What are some of the shows that you really, as we look back, since this is also the New Year's episode, looking back, what are some of the shows you enjoyed editing and why?
Well, I liked editing the Dr.
Simkovich.
Yeah. Just because what he was saying was interesting. I think when you're interested, I'm not saying that the people he has on his show are boring, just they're not always.
She took shots. I have not. Everybody has them.
It's just they're not what I
Sports.
would listen to. Sports. Yeah, I don't do sports.
Go sports. That's this one. Go sports.
So it's always easier to edit when I can enjoy like listening and go, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that before. So that was one that was like, oh, this is pretty cool. When they give you good like energy and they you guys just bounce back and forth. I really enjoy.
Fedco episode. You edited it. Let's hear it.
I don't think you want me to go into that. That was a lot.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
He had energy.
There was a lot of volume control that needed to go into that episode.
So earlier this week, or I guess last week, when this episode comes out, we went to the telethon for Plum, the 22nd telethon. They raised over $56,000, bringing their 22-year total to 1.9 million. Or I think 1.09. It's over $1 million.
It's over.
I tried to sound smart there with the numbers, and now I'm second guessing. I'm sure Rick will let me know if I can be wrong. So what was that experience like? Because you saw it from that's kind of where TV started for me. And it didn't look like that. I mean, those cameras were phenomenal.
That is like the one thing I like for a high school. I was amazed by the production value, the high quality cameras, stuff like that. Coming from where I came, that was never a thing. I don't think if they do now, they might, maybe now, I don't know.
Now. I mean, it's growing.
Yeah, my high school didn't have like a TV, radio thing. Our big thing was theater.
And you were involved in theater?
I was involved in theater. I was
all the way through college.
Yep.
And then
never an actor. I did act in one play, and that was in college. I did it for one night because I was the understudy, because I was the only person who knew the whole script, because I was at every single rehearsal because I built the sets.
Yep.
And I'm really lucky that in that play, I was playing someone who was skittish and jittery.
So
because my anxiety really worked well with the role.
So, for those young aspiring actors and actresses, if you have anxiety, just look for roles where you
where
play,
that makes for you.
Play into it. Don't that way you can still be
it always made the director, I guess, so frustrated that I wouldn't act or anything like that, because they're like, you're so good at that, because I would stand in for rehearsals if someone couldn't be there or anything like that, and they were like you're so good at doing this, blah blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, I can do it. I'm not going to do it. Now, I don't want to be.
Did you ever want to be like a writer or a director or anything like that? I mean, because you did a lot of the props, you built the sets, you behind the scenes, learning the scripts,
the scenes and stuff like that, building the sets and stuff like that. I always enjoyed it. I've always loved to build things, do crafts, stuff like that.
Hence my new desk.
Yes, hence your new desk.
But they can't see, so that was a pointless statement. It was just
I built his desk. I never wanted to be like a director or anything like that. I'm pretty sure when I was little, I'm sure I wanted to be a writer, and I was never good at it.
Well, now go back to you do props, you do sets and whatnot. You've helped with the lighting in the new studio. You're soundproofing wall. And as I said, I pointed out a few episodes back for the folks that watch, we have a new shelf. Now, obviously the shelf had to move because you're in the shelf spot. Why did you come up with the idea, and what are some of the things on the shelf and why are they there as we're looking at them here? Well, Santa Claus is there, but he'll be leaving soon.
Santa's back up there. He had to move out of the way for this episode. Well, when we were putting together the shelf, one of the things, represented your show. So, the bobblehead boomer.
It was originally a microphone stand.
Yeah. That obviously with the alumni tour and all of that, I think that made sense. Your staple, the dingo hat.
One of one.
Had to be in there.
It did. And the blue microphone.
Because that's what you started with.
No, the bobblehead's what I started with. Then the blue microphone, but close enough. That's the first real microphone. And then the next shelf down was all the cans, the Iron City collectible cans.
Yeah.
Your clapper that we bought and don't use. It was like $3, but still we don't use it. And then my favorite part of the whole shelf is the way that the decanter, glasses, and flask just tie everything together.
I mean,
whatever floats my goat, right?
Yeah.
That's.
And if you're gonna do it, you might as well make it presentable and pretty.
Can I use that as an excuse?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
If it sits there and looks pretty.
It's a good clarification.
Mm-hmm.
So we've come to that point. There's 3 questions left. Do you want to pause and I can prep you for them, or do you remember this line of questioning now? All right. So 18-year-old you go back. What would you change? Is there anything you change? What advice would you give?
I don't say that there's anything I would change. I think at 18, I had already matured a lot. I was 17 when I came to Bethany, and after 1 year, because a lot of people don't know this, in New York, I could have gone to a school, like a public school in New York, and it would have been free because it was a system that they put in place in New York. Right? Yeah. But my parents were like, we're going to give you the chance to go out there for a year. We'll give you a year. Then you can come back. We'll go to one of these schools. And I was like, okay, made the deal. I finished my first year at Bethany and they said, love you, don't come back. Not because they didn't want me around or anything. It's just they saw that I started to make a life for myself. I made friends. I grew up. And it was best for me to stay out here rather than going home. So they were like,
well, out there, not here.
Yeah.
Different part of the one's the panhandle, one's the middle. Like we're closer to New York now than you were.
Actually, yes.
Yeah, I know.
So growing up, I had to mature early, but I wouldn't change anything because it's made me who I am now.
Any advice?
Advice, especially if you're going to college.
Well, no, this is advice for you.
18-year-old. 18-year-old me.
What would you now what would you advise 18-year-old you?
Go to class.
Yeah.
My first semester.
Some of us.
Some
of us understand more than others out there watching. I'm one of them. I completely understand. Go to class.
Go to class.
Go to class. Just go to class. All right. Now, you said when you stepped foot on at Bethany.
Yep.
You fell in love immediately.
Yes.
Why? What is it about Bethany? Why Bethany? What is it?
Well, I went on my visit middle of like summer, so everything's like full blooms and everything like that. There's not really students or anything on campus. maybe it was just like the circumstances too, because like we had got lost on the way and I ended up in some random town that literally looked like it came out of The Hills Have Eyes.
Probably Avella.
No, it was like an hour in the wrong direction. I don't know where I ended up, but I was like, I locked the car doors. I can't come. We're going to be eaten. I was scared. So like we showed up, he got out of the car and immediately like you're at the bottom of the brick hill and all the trees coming over Old Main. I was like, this is absolutely beautiful. This is what I want to see every day. And that's what really set it in place for me. Mm-hmm. And then just as we did the tour and everything like that, it felt very personalized and like they made it to feel like home. Mm-hmm. And that's what I liked.
Now, you today, would you go and recruit someone to Bethany, and how would you do it? What's the message that you would give them? Because as you just pointed out, Bethany is very small, it's very secluded, but in 1 year you came back from Bethany, your family looked at you and went, "Ha, love you, stay there," because you're right. That's what it gives you. It's you're out there.
I think you have to be a special type of person to last at Bethany. Sure, you can go to Bethany. Not everyone lasts at Bethany. So
kicked me out twice and I still stayed for 11 years. School for 6, but 11.
So just know that it's not going to be something where you're constantly doing something every single day. You have to make it, you got to make the best out of what you have. Mm-hmm. And if you can't do that, if you're someone who constantly needs to go out and go like do all these different things, it's probably not gonna work.
Yeah.
But with that being said, it is a place to grow and come into yourself. So I would say if I was recruiting someone, that you learn a lot about yourself in a place so small. Mm-hmm. And it'll do a lot for personal growth if that's something that you're looking for.
You made an interesting point at the beginning of that, where anybody can go to Bethany. Sure, go ahead, but only there's like a select few that actually end up making it through. We know the numbers have they go up and down.
Yeah.
Do you think that's, and I've said this, I think I said it in my episode, do you think Bethany picks people? And by that, I mean, not like the recruitment process, like, we want you to come to Bethany, but the
town,
whatever it is, that energy that's in Bethany.
Absolutely. Very much a person who believes in energy and stuff like that. And yes, I fully do believe so. I think that you'll know if it's for you within the first, so I give it semester, but the first few months really. And
it's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. It's not. You're secluded, you're in the middle of nowhere.
Shout out Harry Chambers. He keeps you going. Yeah. Soup season. It's soup season.
Miss the breakfast sandwiches. But you have to be able to, your energy does have to match the place.
Or it will catch you out. I mean, and wow, you've seen some people that they go, there's people that I went to school with that came back twice and still got bounced in some fashion.
I actually, like, my freshman year roommate, she left Bethany and she'd gone to another school. I don't know what it was, but she left for a year and went, why did I leave? And she did end up coming back, and she has now graduated from Bethany. But I think it's funny to see that, like, maybe that's not where she needed to be at the time, but
It called her back.
it called her back.
Called her
Things
back.
change.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with us
I don't think
before we
so.
wrap this up? Do you want to do the ending?
No,
You think I can get through it without messing up?
I believe in you.
Okay, well, there's 140 some episodes that are going against you, but I love that you're betting the under. I love it. She's betting the under, folks. Let's see if we got this. Thank you very much for joining me on Christmas Day as we record this.
Yeah. Merry
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everybody, because when this comes out, we'll be
Yeah.
rolling into New Year's Eve and New Year's weekend. For those of you that stuck through this entire episode with us, you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook. The only place that it's different is Dingo_talk for Instagram. If you type in DingoTalk, you will see bald man loves to talk about the wild dog dingoes. Not me, not her. She won't be there. She doesn't edit any of those. Hates that I use that. It can't be mean to me though, because the camera's rolling. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else that you can get your podcasts. Get in contact with us for a hat. Make sure you keep an eye on things as we head into the new year. I think there's some changes and whatnot that are going to happen with this show. And I guess we'll see you in 2023. I mean, that's a wrap for Dingo Talk. So I am Carlo Guadagnino, Serenity Brown, class of 2020 from Bethany College, here on the Dingo Talk Alumni Tour, and we will see you next year, Chuckleheads.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Dingo Talk. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. For more info and to contact the show, you can find us on Twitter @DingoTalk.